And good afternoon, everybody. How was that for a grand entrance? That wasn't rehearsed like that. My computer's over there. Happy New Year. I'm surprised to see this many people on today. I thought it'd be just me and maybe two others. But figure I had to come into the store, take care of a few things. I decided to keep the class on for today and hoping 2025 brings you a great new year. I'm going to open up with a little song here for you. I might touch on some of the features that I'm going to discuss will be on some of the things I did in this particular song, and maybe I'll use another song as an example. So we'll start off with a little bit of that. And here we go. Sure, I got my original sound for musicians got turned off. So let me turn that on so it sounds okay. Thing before I get started. All right, so here we go. Well, hopefully that sounded as good as I usually play it. I'll give myself a round of applause. Oh, thank you. So I was playing around the other day, and I was playing some songs that I normally haven't played in a while. And I was gotten to thinking, well, I had all sorts of things to talk about today. And I thought, as I was playing this one, I thought, I'll kind of touch on some of the things I did. I'm not going to teach the song and the arrangement, but some of the features I used in the arrangement that you can use for other things, okay? So hopefully this will be worth you attending today. Before I get started on the workshop, I do want to tell you that next Wednesday I probably won't have this class. We've got a lot of things going on. And starting in the second half of January, we're gonna do a series of different type of product feature classes. So we'll do classes that we'll do. They're going to be specific to groups, but there's something to keep in mind. So if I do one for just SU series owners, anyone with an A model and an E should attend. Okay, it's just that we may do it on an SU model for those that have those models. So keep that in mind, and I'll put those in the blurb that if you have an EX, it'll say is encouraged to attend, because anything that can be taught in an SU series. The SU series, by the way, was introduced in 2001, and they were made up to about 2006/7, okay? And then late 7, beginning of 8 was the A series, and they made those up to about 2013. I think the last A model was introduced, which was the Liberty. Even though the model number is LE6500, it is an A platform technology. And then in 15 was the Marquis, and then somewhere in there, I can't remember if the Inspire came first or not. I'd have to go back and check my memory banks, but the E technology was after that, okay? So if we say we're doing a class strictly on the A models, SU owners are still encouraged to attend because a lot of it is applicable, and obviously E. And then we'll do one strictly for the EX upper end elite members. And when I say we, you're going to see more than just me. You're going to want to have Carrie Price, Joe Fontesha, Dawn. All of us are going to be partaking. And then we'll also do classes on some of the smaller models. And these are going to be we're going to kick off the year with, we got all these wonderful classes that we teach online and in store, how to play the song, and this is what a quarter note is, and fancy chords, or whatever class you attend. But we also I'm going to really put it out there to start the year off with learning the product. Over the last few years, we met a lot of people that are new to these instruments, and so sometimes learning from a different personality, you get a different take, different way of learning the product. The song that I played, Besame Mucho, was one of my first songs that I actually ever started putting arrangements, customized arrangements, should I say. In other words, I started with something on the organ, and then I decided I want to tweak it here, tweak it there, change the sound here, or put this effect there. Many times, and just keep in mind, many times we start, when I say we, all of us, even to the pros, we start by using, if we want to do a customized arrangement, we start by using something that's in the instrument already, and then we tweak it from there. Every now and then I'll start from scratch and just turn it on, turn off everything, and I'll build it from scratch. I don't do that often. So what I did with this particular setup was a couple things. I edited the background, and I also edited the guitar sound that I did here. So I'm going to show you what I did there. And then as I was playing, I'll kind of touch on what I did over here. It's good to know because if you decide that you want to use some of these features while you're playing, they're going to come in handy. So here's the song that I played. It started off like this. Okay, that style actually is this style here. But the way you heard it was like this. Totally different. You could tell it's the same background now that you hear the two. That was just simply a rumba style, okay? And what I did is I found myself, I wanted to start off with a guitar sound on this. And there's many places to find these guitar sounds. The Latin category, number 2, gives you a really nice Latin style guitar sound. Woo! Turn that down a little bit. Okay, if you go into your, there's one of the category setups. Let me go through here. Let me find it before I tell you, because I might tell you wrong first. Let me put it up here. Oh, here's another one, which is on Around the World category, number 3, and it gives you a Spanish guitar. And they're all slightly different. Sometimes they put on a flamenco guitar combined with a nylon Spanish guitar. In this case, it put flamenco with an acoustic bright, so you get. And what I did is I took one of those sounds, and then I just decided that I wanted, so I ended up with believe it or not, a guitar nylon jazz. All right. And then I also have in here a Spanish guitar together. Okay, so you could have some fun with that. So those are the two sounds. But what I did, what you'll notice here, is the first thing that I did is I took the guitar sound. If you listen to it, you hear there's a little bit of an echo in there, a delay. Now, I touched on a class on this quite some time ago. I'm not going to go into every single feature in this topic, but I'll go to the one feature to show you. So here's what I'll do. Right to the right of the screen, you have your feature button, right? And when you press your feature button, see if I got this camera set in the right place. I moved my card around. Okay, close enough. Let's see here. All right. You can see that okay? Oh, problem is I got the wrong one on. Let me put it on here. Okay. So I turned on the feature button. First thing I did is I found the sound that I wanted. I turned, and then, so in this case I have the guitar. And then I hit feature and I scroll to page 4. You'll see there it says effects. Now I'm going to encourage, a lot of times when people go into these things, I don't want to mess up the organ. I want to remind everybody, you can't mess up the organ by pushing buttons to access features and sounds and effects and things like that. Remember, it's easier than switching cameras. Remember, a button is designed to be pushed. That's why you have a button, okay? So I come up, and you'll notice here, the screen has what changes I made. And you'll see it says orchestral 1 on, orchestral 2 off, solo on, etc., etc. if I put on, let me leave it there. Let me put on Latin number 2 and see what happens. All right, so you'll see on Latin 2, that is the effect that I have. And I'm looking at the organ right now, so you don't see this. But actually, let me pull it up on the screen here so you can see it. I have, you'll see it says nylon, guitar nylon pick. Okay? And it also has a flamenco here. Okay, that's what those two sounds together. All right? But if you notice on the feature, it says it has this thing called distortion. And distortion can use multiple ways. Most people associate the word distortion with guitars, like electric guitars. And yes, you can get really electric, quote, electric guitar sounding effects by using distortion. But distortion is also used a lot of times on the Lowrey organs to emphasize a sound. Not making it so much that it sounds like an electric guitar, only that it stands out more. So if you see distortion and you listen to the guitar, I'm going to turn it off. Actually, let me just turn it off here and see if we could hear a little difference. Okay, same sound. Now let me put the effects back on and let's listen to the difference. Just a little bit more pronounced. So when Bill Curry would design and program these things, he did a lot more than just selecting two guitar sounds. He goes in and really sometimes gets really detailed on how that preset is set up. Now, so if I pick a sound that I want and I want to edit it, in this case, I'm using this preset where it has this sound on and this on at the same time. And I want to edit it. I just come up to page 4. You'll see, can you see page 4 there? Yeah, it says page 4 there. Okay, so I go to page 4, hit effects, and then I select what I want to edit. Now right now I'm going to leave it just on the on position and I change it to distortion. All right, I select distortion and I change the effect. And there's many of them. We won't go in detail on here. I'm going to go specifically to one that I use a lot called delay. All right, and then when I'm going to turn off the Genius sound here. That's here. So all I have on right now is the guitar nylon pick. And then if you notice, when I selected, oops, let me bring it back. When I selected, go back to distortion. Okay, let me change it now to delay and listen to the difference. You're going to hear a slight delay, or some people refer to it as an echo. You can kind of hear it echoing there, right? So the notes sort of repeat a little bit. And then I went in and I hit edit, and then I edit these effects to the way I wanted the guitar to sound for me. Now, I've had this question many times over the years. Well, what's a good setting? How did you know what you were doing? Some people that use this all the time, they know exactly how to change these things to get it to the way they think they want it to sound. When I do it, I just start playing the notes and I change the numbers until my ear says, yeah, I think I like that. Then I stop and I save it on a preset. So I'm going to leave it there. You'll see it says 85, 41, 41. Now let me go to my preset that I have. Let's see how much different it is. Your job is to remember 85, 41, 41 in case I ask. Oops. Go back to the screen. Where are you? Well, coincidentally, let's go to edit. Coincidentally, that's the same setting that I use, which was built in. So all I did is I selected a category. I think I did select Latin number 2 to begin with, and I changed it from the distortion setting to the delay setting. And then the only difference is I might have chosen another guitar sound. The idea here is that if you take an individual sound, let me go back here. So you'll see I have delay on in a few places here, particularly the orchestral. If you turn it off, let's see what happens. You hear the notes? Let me turn off the reverb too so you don't think it's masked. So here's the guitar sound now. Just playing the notes. Now when I turn on the delay, you could really hear the kind of the echo effect, right? So all I did is when I edit these things, I select it and then I just change the numbers around. The amount is how well you want to hear the effect. The delay time is how, in this case, is how long do you want the delay to go. And feedback is how much you hear it after you hit it. So if you go through and you just change them around, and if you really get carried away, if I put these up really high, you'll really hear a difference. Let's see here. You'll see just going on. It seems like it goes on and on. It's a little excessive in my opinion, but sometimes having enough really works. So let me bring it back to where it was. All right. Now if you listen to that, an argument can be made with it still has a little bit too much delay on it. Okay? And if you're just doing it like that, hitting a note, yeah, it does. But if you're playing along, let me put on my reverb back on, and you're playing along. Now, the other little trick that I did, and I know some people don't like using this feature. 80% of the time I probably turn this feature on, and it's your dynamic keying or your keyboard touch. It's not or. They're the same effect depending on the model you have. On the SUs and the As, you have a dynamic keying button. On the Es, it's called keyboard touch. And all that means is how hard or soft you hit the keys. Okay? It'll get louder and softer. So I like to put that effect on when I'm doing this. So when I'm playing the notes, I can play them softly and get the notes a little bit delayed, and it actually sounds like I'm doing a little bit more than I'm actually doing. Okay? Now, this is one of the cases where a lot of times when we play, some songs, you don't want to play it staccato-like. It doesn't sound, or some sounds even, they're not meant to be staccato. Okay? Or choppy. And some sounds are meant to be held. So for example, when I play these notes, you'll notice I'm doing a lot more notes than what would normally be up in the music. The music would do this. So if I'm playing it like this manually, it just doesn't have enough personality for me. So when I play it, I play the same thing, but I play a lot of the notes multiple times. And if you didn't have that delay on, it may not have as much character. So let me turn the delay off and do the same thing. And see how it's still going to sound okay, but to me, it changes the personality of the sound in the song. You actually have to play it a little bit differently to do it. Whereas if I do it the other way, and you can release and you can do all sorts of fun little tricks with that. I like the delay effect on various sounds. Guitars, always great to do them. Acoustics, nylon string guitars. And you can do it on a lot of instruments, but it depends on how you play it. So for example, when I got to this part of the song where I used, let's see what happens if maybe I didn't have it on. Let's see, I had the trumpet on. Okay, so in this case, I actually have the delay on with the trumpet. Now let me see what the numbers are. Actually, I've got a lot of delay, but what I won't do is play the trumpet like this. Sounds weird. So when I was playing the song, I was playing a lot of notes, some of the same notes with the guitar, but when I got to the trumpet sound, I did the opposite. I held the notes, and the delay kind of blends in to the ears. Watch. When you have the background on, it kind of just carries a little bit. Now here's that trumpet sound. Let me put it on by itself. And let me play some of those notes now. You hear it kind of echoing there? But you're not going to play it. It sounds silly. So in this case, I still have the delay with the trumpet giving the echo effect, but if you play the notes slowly and hold them, you really don't hear the type of effect going on. Okay, so now I know some of you have the presets that I did for that song. But sometimes I like to go in and show people, how did I get that preset? How did I get that sound? Some people have the presets and they go, this sounds great. And then they follow up with, well, how did you do that? So that's part of what I did there. Where it works great to do these on, when you want to experiment, is pick a category of presets that the organ has that you got a lot of individual sounds. So for example, the big band category has a lot of individual sounds. One preset gives you a saxophone. One gives you a piano. One gives you a vibraphone. The Latin category gives you Latin guitars, trumpets. Actually, that trumpet came straight from Latin #1, the trumpet sound. I would stay away, especially if you're just starting to use this feature, I would stay away from presets that give you harmonies. So for example, big band 9 and 10, those presets give you sax ensembles and big band ensembles with a harmony. I would stay away from trying to use those effects on a preset that already has more than one thing happening plus a harmony. It's probably, you're going to more than likely run into a sound you may not be it may not be pleasant.
Might not like.
Yeah. So it's always good to start off with some presets that give you the trumpet, the saxophone, the clarinet, and then go over and experiment with that feature. Now here's the thing. When you activate the feature and you edit it, you can edit it all the way you want. You could try it out like I did, like the trumpet sound. I didn't do that and go, I didn't like that. What I did is I tried it, and then I said, let me try it with the song and see how it sounds. And if the answer is yes, like, oh, hey, I like that, save that preset. Because a lot of times I'll go in and I'll tweak things in the numbers, and I accidentally did save it and accidentally push a button, and I went back and I'm like, I don't remember what combination I had. So that is one topic one that I wanted to address. It's something that's fun to do. And then if you're fooling around with it and you're doing it, all right, and you're pushing it and you're editing it and you're changing the number and you're trying it out and if something don't go right, if you just turn the preset off and back on again, it'll reset it to the way it was set on that if you're using a category setup. So you can't mess it up by pushing the buttons. That's what they're there for, to experiment. I will tell you this, if you experiment with that option, I would say just put on a rhythm, something simple, pick a category preset that has a trumpet, guitar, or a saxophone, and just go up and try that effect. The delay effect, believe it or not, is very common in a lot of the presets. But when Bill programs them, he doesn't program it so that the delay is so annoying that it can't be used, too much echo and delay. It's designed just enough so when you're playing, it has a special effect that just makes you sound better. Okay? And then play a song with it. If you like it, save it. Now the other thing that I opened up with was when I put on that style, and put on the style, preset, oh, there we go. And I showed you that how originally that style came from this. And then what I did is I turned it into this. Now, I didn't do an intro, but I'll let you hear the intro. So there was a few things I did there. One, in the arrangement of the song, I turned off the drums and I turned off the bass. But more importantly, to revisit a topic, this one to me is worth doing even more than what I just showed you, because when you get into changing a sound and delay and all that stuff, that's well and good. But the styles is where most people use on the instrument. And you'll notice that depending on the model you have, so this right now I'm on a Symphony. I think I'm going to have to set this so I can go back and forth from one screen to the other. So bear with me. The right screen, memorize. I'm going to do it on custom 3, memorize. And then I'm going to put left, memorize, custom 2, value and setting, memorize. So this way I can go back and forth from screen to screen. Okay. So the left screen, if you have a double screen or if you have a single screen, will look something similar to this. And you'll notice at the very top, it says, touch here to edit style. Okay? On the EX models, if you have your screen, let me put the full screen here. All right, if you have the full screen, oh, let me put on a rhythm. Do I have a rhythm on? Oh, it says right here, style edit. It really gets a little fuzzy when you try to stretch it out on a big TV. Someday I'm working on trying to figure out how to get this directly to my computer. I think I need 2 computers. But anyway, it says style edit. So that's where the style is. And when you pick a different style, okay, that style's called life. You put Barry Can't Smile, okay? I'll remain over here, same idea. So what I did is I took, let me touch, and what you do essentially is you do exactly what it says, touch there, okay? And then when you touch it, the right screen will show this. Now this is after the fact of what I did, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's the left hand now.
That's what I did to what you're hearing right here.
Oh, I see. You turn them all. Okay, I got it now. Turn them all off so you get just the bare guitar.
Well, that's what I did. But now let me bring you the original. Let's see if they're all the same. Guitar, strings, vibes, flutes, brass. Okay. Yeah, so in that case, this is the original. Okay? Now if I play the same chord, now it's going to sound in my clip now because the volume settings that I had for the original, obviously is much softer. It goes from soft to full. So let me just bring it down a notch here so you can. Okay. Now I turned off the drum and the bass, but more importantly, turn on the drummer. Turn off the bass. So right now, you're hearing everything you see in the screen there. And then let me correct myself. Not everything, because sometimes some of the sounds that's in the screen are only used in an introduction of the song. So for example, if you put on the swing train, you'll see the choo-choo. That is only used in the introduction. That's it. If I turn it off, there, I just started the intro. You can't hear it yet. It's funny because that one little thing is what everybody identifies this style called the swing train. Okay? You could hear most of the introduction starts with that train in the beginning. Now, after that, the train is not applicable. Now let's do the same thing. I'll turn it off, play a C chord. Now it's playing. You can't hear it yet. And if you do the same thing in a minor chord, no train. So you'd be surprised what one little button change and a different chord can totally change the feel of a style that you're using. Now going back to where I was, or my preset, here's that Latin category. I turned everything off. All right. And a lot of times when I do that, I even turn off my left hand sound. We'll turn off the drummer. So now you're left with just this. Turn off the drummer. And then as I played my preset, you'll notice my... Oops. Let me go back to what I had here. Here's number 2. I brought in the rest of the band musicians. Here's another one for you, okay? Here's a song that I play once in a while. I always have to have my music handy. For some reason, all the years I've played the song, I haven't memorized it. It's a very pretty hymn, if you're into hymns. All right. Now let's see. Does it show on the... Okay, it doesn't show on the screen the rhythm. Now, some of you have these presets. You may know the answer to this. But let me play a few measures of the song. All right, so I played a few more than the few measures. But the same thing here, this style, anybody know what style that is? Does that ring a bell, that style? Let me pull it up here for you. That style is called soft gospel. Now, soft gospel is a very pretty style in its original state. If I play the exact same thing with the full band here, let me touch here to edit style and see what I did differently here. All right, so in this case it has a piano, strings, acoustic guitar, electric piano. Here we go. And then if you look at the preset that I put together, let's see, piano, strings, acoustic guitar, electric piano. Let's see what happens if I did any changes there. Ready? So I did not change the sound that's in these three, but I did change the first one to an electric piano, and then I turned these two off. And I did the exact same thing earlier. I had the drums off and the bass, so you get this effect. And then as I played the song, let's see what happens in the second preset here. All I did was I turned on the string. So I went from this, you'll see there, just a nice little change there. And then here, I turned on the bass and I brought in the full band, and then of course the drummer came in. Okay? So the point is what's cool about this is you can very easily experiment with the backgrounds and the styles. All you have to do is pick a style that you want. And let me just do something totally different here. Let's see here. Vegas Big Band. Okay, now I'm going to touch here to edit style. And it says here in the Vegas Big Band, oops, touch here to edit style. This is everything that's in this style. Let me put on rhythm preset. Now, we can go into a whole class of what sounds to change, but if you just get in the habit of even just turning these things off, I don't know what this is going to sound like, but I'm going to leave the top one and number 3 on, do the same intro. It's quite a bit different. You know, you put on maybe the guitar and the a nice little combination there. Now here's something else that's fun to do. Let me just do this here for a second. Let's see if it worked. Okay, now did you see that there? Can you see all the sounds that's in there? They're all pianos. Let's hear it. So a nice little fun little trick you could do if you want a very fast way of just putting some sounds in and hearing what they sound like. If you put on the if you put your keypad up, all right. What comes in handy at this point, by the way, is your list of sounds that's in the owner's manual. They're all numbered. I just happen to know one is piano. Okay, and if you So if you have your keypad on and you push 1, all right, and you pick Genie, it'll instantly put a sound in there. Now the Genie is typically just one sound. So you have to remember, Orchestra Plus is, when you had that screen up, is Orchestra Plus 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you want an instant sound to go in all of them, and I would experiment first with guitars and pianos. Guitars and pianos are typically great accompaniment instruments. Okay, I would be very careful with putting a clarinet sound in the Orchestra Plus, because then clarinet's going to be on 4 of those sounds, and a lot of those sounds aren't designed to be played as like a clarinet. But you're always safe. Let me put on a totally different rhythm here. Here's Rinky Tink. So it has piano in there. It's got an acoustic guitar, a banjo, an accordion in there. Now what I'm going to do is hit keypad. I'm going to hit 1, piano. I'm going to put a Genie, 1, which is the piano, and Orchestra Plus, and let's do the same thing. And you got a bunch of piano players. Or maybe an organ sound. Anybody know the number for an organ sound by chance? Anybody have a list? Let's see here. Let me go to the O's. Okay, so there's a jazz organ 1, which is 51. So let's do the same thing. Same style. I'm going to put keypad 51 or Genie 50. I'll put them both in both places. And let's hear the same thing and see what happens. Interesting. Let me do this. Put the organ player Genie 1, put piano in Orchestra Plus. Organs aren't bad either, because they're also considered a sound that's good for accompanying somebody. Pianos, guitars, and organs. You can have a lot of fun with that. Now, if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, you pull up the screen and you change each individual one. We can do a whole nother class on that. Okay? The last thing I want to mention, because I was doing it earlier, a lot of my presets when I make them, like when I did Bésame Mucho, you'll notice that it was very soft, the way I had those presets designed. And then as I played the song, the way I built my arrangement, it got a little bit stronger. The Ave Maria one, some of those presets were much stronger already. And what I did over here is I started touching things as I was playing, because here's what I wanted to have happen. While I was playing, when I was, let me put on my Bésame Mucho. So I had this on, and you can barely hear the guitar sound. Now, here, for me, and an audience, if I had an audience here, that would be ideal, okay? But I knew when I was playing that it may not come across exactly the same way. So what I did is, as I was playing, I turned up my background, the Orchestra Plus. I also had noticed that I had a little bit extra reverb, so I turned down my reverb a notch or 2. My bass sometimes comes through strong or not strong, so I adjusted that. And then what I did is I locked them. And you can very easily lock volumes instantly. So all you have to do is push the 2. So like, and the reverb. So I set the reverb where I liked it. There was just the right amount of reverb for me, and I pushed the 2 together. And now that reverb is locked, even if I push my presets that are programmed. If I have a bass, the bass volume, too loud, too soft, and I adjust it, and I want to keep it consistent, I push the 2 together. And I don't know if you could see that from there, but it turns solid yellow to me. And then my Orchestra Plus, the background, I turned it up from this to this. Now, I didn't turn it up all the way because I knew my presets would inevitably bring in some of the other band members, so I brought it up almost all the way, and then I locked the 2 together, and then it turns solid yellow. So as I'm changing presets, all those other sounds come on, but the individual volumes and the individual reverb setting volume is set at a certain, until I deactivate it. And you deactivate it by just pushing the button once, and it turns it on or off. So, any questions today? I should have done that earlier. No? You guys partied too hard last night, right?
Robert, this is John from Hazleton.
Hi, John.
I'm
How
doing
do you
good.
stay
Happy New
so
Year, everybody.
still? Look at you.
Pardon?
How do you stay so still?
What do you mean? Why?
The image, you haven't moved. Boy, you're like,
I don't have my camera on.
that's your,
Here, I'll turn my camera on for you.
that's okay. That's your,
See, that's me.
oh, so you do move. Okay. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
move. See?
wow.
Hello.
I was like, John, boy, he could stay so still, not move. That's your,
Yeah. That what you were mentioning about the locking stuff. Well, that'll work on all the organs, right? Like the marquees and everything.
which
Bigger organs,
lock are you referring to? The one that I just
like the
did?
reverbs and stuff. Yeah.
Um, I'm going to say yes and no.
Okay.
Okay. And when I say that is, I'd have to run over to an SU series. I know in the A series, it definitely does it. And then the EX series. So this is an A model. Remember, the EX came out after, so everything transfers.
Right.
Okay. So the best way to tell is
I'll just try it.
when you're sitting at the organ, doesn't matter even what you have on. You don't have to have anything on.
Mm-hmm.
You turn everything off. Just push it, and if they turn solid yellow, then you know that function applies to that. If I go to the lower sounds, because our left-hand chord,
Mm-hmm.
you push the two together, it's okay. Bass, same thing. Reverb, what will not turn solid yellow is the master, because the master stays in its position all the time. It's automatically locked all the time.
Okay.
It'll only change when you decide to change it. So if I put it down to 3 notches, well, then that's where it'll stay for the entire duration. Doesn't matter what your presets do or not. If I put it all the way up, same thing. So it's kind of got a built-in lock, but it won't be solid yellow. It just automatically stays wherever you need it, wherever it stays. So these all turned yellow there. The drum volume does not. The 2 tempo buttons together. Some of you have an individual tempo lock button for that, but the tempo, the drum volume does not. So you have to lock that with the accompaniment lock, which is a whole nother class, which we did some of that last week. Okay? So good question. Any others? No? All right. Well, when I was playing these setups for Ave Maria, I noticed I normally don't play Ave Maria unless it's I'm in a certain mood, or if I'm playing for someone that likes that kind of music, or it just depends, just like any of the other songs. But as I was playing, I thought, boy, this would be great for this other song, and I found a couple other songs. It's still sort of the holiday season. It works great, by the way, if you want to play "O Holy Night." Works great with that. And if you do a nice classic from Over the Rainbow from Wizard of Oz, it also works nicely for that. So I'll finish off with using my Ave Maria presets. If I was doing it, if you're playing it with "O Holy Night," it works great if you listen. So if you have those presets, it worked great for that. But what I like to do is I tried it out with Over the Rainbow, and I thought, oh, this could actually work. I'm just putting the tempo that I want. I'm going to lock it. I thought that was pretty. So, well, that's all I have for you today. Hope you got something out of today's class, and thank you for all attending, and Happy New Year again. Let's have a great 2025. We got some great things in store for you coming up in the very near future. And as always, stay safe. Keep playing music every day. Mwah, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Thank you, Robert.
Yay! Start the year off with a thunderous applause. All right, we'll see you guys real soon.